From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Making mental health a priority on the farm.
Making sure that you're taking care of yourself like you want to take care of your crop and your livestock is invaluable.
Meet a couple offering up help to producers in need. The U.S. takes the next step in its battle with Mexico over a plan to ban U.S. GMO corn, as dairy looks for a seat at the table when it comes to the next farm bill.
This is very much needed.
What dairy leaders would like to see changed right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clint Griffiths. Happening right now, the dairy industry is working on legislation it wants included in the next farm bill. It comes as a bipartisan bill was also proposed to help prevent another infant formula shortage from hitting the U.S. AgDay's Michelle Rook spoke with one state dairy leader about both issues.
Clinton dairy producers got some good news from USDA last week on its action plan to address the federal milk marketing order system. However, they were less enthused with the bill that was dropped in Congress to permanently eliminate import tariffs and ease trade restrictions on infant formula. Groups like the National Milk Producers Federation came out against the infant formula legislation, calling it short-sighted as it increases the U.S. reliance on imported formula and formula inputs. It also puts in place one-way street trade conditions that would harm the dairy industry. A state dairy group leader says he thinks producers can better supply the market.
There's a shortage, there's demand right now. Part of it's because of regulatory problems that we saw. I don't think it's a long-lived plan, and we're very capable of filling that with all the powders that we do ship out ourselves, and we'll backfill that pretty soon.
USDA is also moving forward with a national hearing on a proposal to modernize the federal milk marketing orders offered by the National Milk Producers Federation. It's also supported by state dairy groups. They hope it will better reflect today's market conditions and producer needs.
It's an old system. This is not a complete overhaul, but it's an adjustment that really came as a result of the pandemic and COVID, and it showed some shortcomings in the system. So this is very much needed.
Post says they hope the changes will be included in the next farm bill, but they're also working on separate legislation. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Other news for dairy producers: another dairy margin coverage payment is being issued due to lower milk prices. This is based off of April's numbers, where the dairy margin coverage income over feed cost was $5.84 per hundredweight. Producers with coverage of $9.50 will see indemnity payments of just over $2,700 for each 1 million pounds enrolled. Compared to March, the all milk price fell 40 cents per hundredweight to $20.70, while corn and premium alfalfa hay increased. And a developing story we're following: the U.S. Trade Representative announcing the office is requesting dispute settlement consultations with Mexico regarding its upcoming ban on U.S. GMO corn. In a statement, USTR Catherine Tai said, quote, "The United States has repeatedly conveyed its concerns that Mexico's biotechnology policies are not based on science and threaten to disrupt U.S. exports to Mexico to the detriment of agricultural producers, which in turn can exacerbate food security challenges. Mexico's biotechnology policies also stifle agricultural innovation that helps American farmers respond to pressing climate challenges, increase farm productivity, and improve farmers' livelihoods," end quote. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack also weighing in, saying the U.S. fundamentally disagrees with the position Mexico has taken on the issue of biotechnology. Now, Mexico's February decree specifically bans the use of GMO corn in tortillas or dough. It would also gradually ban the use of biotechnology corn in all products for human consumption and animal feed. Discussions between the U.S. and Mexico to try and resolve the issue have been going on for months. You'll remember we told you last week more than 60 House Republicans sent a letter to the U.S. Trade Representative's office calling for this formal dispute panel against Mexico. Areas of the High Plains continuing to see heavy rains at times. Here you can see flash flooding impacting Highway 87 outside of Lubbock, Texas. Forecasters say despite the area seeing above average and even record rainfall in some places, much of the region remains in drought. The Texas Panhandle has received record-breaking rainfall since the middle of last month, and that has prompted 2 counties to declare a local state of disaster due to flooding. Now, it's expected the Canadian River will continue to flood in the area for several more days. In the southern High Plains, saw more rain over the weekend. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with a look ahead to this week.
Yeah, Clint, want to take a step back and look at the rainfall that has come down the last couple of days to recap that weekend, and then, of course, get into the rest of this week. So looking at the radar estimated rainfall that came down through the United States, 2 big things really pop out. One is, once again, dry in portions of the Midwest, and then as you come back here towards the west into the plains, that's where we saw a decent amount of rainfall, not necessarily enough to completely shake the drought that we're seeing in portions of the plains. And we continue to see even more rain back into the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. The pattern that's set up this weekend and last week is going to start shifting, and we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit. Let's head on over to Lynn County, Texas. As I was just saying, so this is just south of Lubbock. What I was saying is about that rainfall that came down the last couple of days and most of last week. Brady's saying at the end of last week they received 9 inches of rain over the previous 10 days. He says they saw 3.8 inches alone last Thursday. That's a 24-hour rainfall total. It's a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. In a short amount of time, we'll go over your latest forecast.
Tyson Foods is announcing it's cutting more than 200 jobs. The cut's happening in South Dakota. The company says that 262 employees decided not to move to its headquarters in Arkansas. Tyson announced in October it would relocate all corporate employees from its offices in Dakota Dunes, South Dakota, along with those in Chicago and Downers Grove, Illinois, to its headquarters in Springdale, Arkansas. In May, it posted its first quarterly loss since 2009, cutting its sales forecast for this year by $2 to $3 billion. Now, it also reported it lost $97 million on charges related to plant closures and restructuring. World Pork Expo starts tomorrow at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, and we're getting ready to celebrate with our annual Pork Week. Be sure to join us here on Ag Day or online at porkbusiness.com. We'll meet the hardworking customs agents working to keep foreign animal diseases at bay. Plus, an outlook for the industry as it navigates 2023 and the likely long-term impacts of Prop 12. Be sure to join us for Pork Week all this week. Corn and soybeans managed to recover a bit after a wild week of trading. Michelle Rook joins us once again to look and see what's on the horizon for markets this week. And later, meet 2 producers offering a safe place when it comes to farmers facing mental health issues in the country. A new lawsuit is hoping to force greater regulation of seed treatments. 2 environmental groups are suing the EPA, saying it wrongly exempted insecticide-coated seeds from regulation. Now, they argue the treated seeds are causing harm to birds, pollinators, beneficial insects, and endangered species. Now, currently, the EPA considers seeds as treated articles, but do not regulate the treated seed itself as a pesticide. Now, the lawsuit wants to change that. It was filed in San Francisco. Soybeans managed to make it 3 days of gains in a row last week. Corn also clawing back on Friday. Michelle Rook is back with what we're keeping an eye on this week in Markets Now.
Higher closing markets on Friday in grain and livestock futures trade. Randy Martinson Ag is joining us, and a strong close on Friday in the grains. How much was tied to weather versus outside markets and just some cash strength?
I think a lot of it was tied to the weather. I mean, we really saw the markets take off once we saw the noon weather, the updated weather forecast come out at noon, and that started to see the ball rolling. Now, soybeans were trading with some pretty good strength throughout most of the morning, so we did see strength there, and that helped to keep the corn market somewhat honest for the early part. But once the weather forecast came out, pulled out the rain in the forecast for the corn belt, especially Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, then we started to see the market jump a little bit more.
You did see the bull spreads work, though, in both corn and soybeans. And again, is that an indication of cash trade being as strong as it is in those tight supplies?
I think it is. I mean, we continue to see tight supplies. Farmer selling has virtually gone to be non-existent, other than having to clean out bins or do whatever we just haven't seen a lot of farmer movement of grain. Part of that is because they've been busy trying to get the crop in the ground. So I do think that the tight supplies and the end user needing product kind of help to push the futures a little bit, especially the Julys. It's also helped tighten up basis levels.
Randy, as we start a new week, we're going to be trading the two W's, weather and WASD, going into the WASD.
We are, and of course, the weather, we'll take a look at what the weather forecasts are Sunday. If they continue to call for very little moisture and the hot temperatures for the Corn Belt, the Western Corn Belt, and also the Plains, I think that'll keep this market somewhat firm. The WASD report, we'll see where the estimates come out, but I'm not looking for much change in this report. I think most of the emphasis will be focused on weather.
Cattle were the bright spot of the week. We had all-time highs in the futures. It looks like some record cash prices. Can we keep it going as we start this new week?
That's going to be the question. I think we got some room to move yet. We're looking at an improvement as far as the economy is concerned. We got the debt ceiling taken care of. We're not looking at interest rate increases. The consumer seems to be kind of accepting the higher prices, and it's keeping the demand strong. So I think we got some room to move up. Supplies continue to be tight, and I think they're only going to get tighter as we move forward.
Thanks so much for joining us, Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag, and we'll have more Ag Day coming up.
Got equipment to sell privately but tired of scams and hassles? Visit MachineryPete.com and click Sell Mine. MachineryPete.com, the simple and secure way to buy and sell equipment online.
Yeah, the signal that we were watching this last week and this weekend continues to support kind of this cutoff low situated on the East Coast. And what that is going to do is actually amplify a ridge back up here to the north. If you remember back to last week, last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, this continues to show up. Above average high temperatures into Montana and the Northwest, with cooler than average temperatures off on the East Coast. And this is kind of that next pattern that we're seeing for the next 7 to 10 days. That's the temperature based on what the jet stream is going to be doing. Here's a look at the precipitation outlook between June 9th and all the way into the middle part of the month, June 15th. Start to see a little bit more rainfall, but notice the bullseye is going to be south of where those above average temperatures are located, back up into Montana and even into Canada. On the East Coast, things stay around average, which is going to set us up for more rain chances. Not a big system, but we'll occasionally get these showers developing through the course of the day, the heat of the afternoon, as we're not really suppressing the atmosphere on the East Coast into this week. Now, the wind gust forecast for your Monday looks something like this. Pretty calm to start the day. If we had a big system moving across the United States, you'd see the wind traveling with it. Winds are going to pick up about 15 to 25, if not 30 miles per hour through portions of the United States, but we're not really seeing any big systems moving anytime soon. So we go from kind of one blocking pattern to another. There's that cutoff low on the East Coast, amplifying this ridge way up here towards the north. And just like what we saw last week and also the week before, it seems like it's almost a 3-week pattern. It's tough to get energy through the high. Everything has to go up and over, and that's where your more significant rain chances start to come into play. So there's the jet stream through Tuesday with that cutoff low. Now that's a beaut. Partly cloudy, high around 70 degrees, low of 48, partly cloudy skies. How about Custer? Mostly sunny, high around 69 degrees, low of 50. And then let's head on over to Illinois. High around 89 degrees, low of 59, with mostly sunny skies.
Arizona state officials are imposing restrictions on the development of new subdivisions in the Phoenix area. Now, it's due to a severe lack of groundwater. Experts say the move signals the beginning of the end for the construction boom that had made it the fastest growing metropolitan region in the U.S. Despite the recent return of rains to the state, that region has been dealing with historic drought and falling water levels along the Colorado River. If you're in the market for some new-to-you equipment, stick around. Machinery Pete is back with his Monday market price update. And later, the difficulties of farm life can weigh on a producer's mental health. We'll hear from 2 ranchers in North Dakota facing the challenge head-on. The used equipment market continues to outperform. Machinery Pete has the latest numbers on some low-age models.
Well, folks, I've seen this over my 30-plus years tracking auction prices. The ever-rising price of new equipment continues to pull up on the value of good used equipment with just a little bit of age on it. And right now, if you talk the used tractor market, the pre-def models, 2011 and before, from the mid to high horsepower, just incredible the buying heat out there. So this past Wednesday, our friends at Big Iron sold this 2009 John Deere 9630 four-wheel drive from Kansas, 4,384 hours on it, went for $167,750. That's the highest auction price ever in the U.S. on a 9630 with over 4,000 plus hours by almost $26,000. Now, a week before, our friends at Big Iron sold this 2002 John Deere 8120 two-wheel drive from Nebraska, 7,384 hours on it, similar story. Went for $60,000, highest auction price ever on a two-wheel drive 8120 with over 7,000 plus hours on it. Now again, just last Wednesday on a farm auction in Manson, Iowa by Green Real Estate and Auction Company, this 2007 John Deere 8130 with 1,245 hours, one owner, sold for $180,000. That's the fourth highest auction price ever on an 8130. But get this, folks. The 15 highest auction prices ever on John Deere 8130s have all come in the past 18 months. Just unbelievable buying interest for good condition pre-def used tractors out there.
And a cop turned into a bit of a cowboy in Burbank, California. Officers were called after a horse named Oreo got away from its owner. Now, Oreo's owner says the horse got spooked when it was crossing an equestrian bridge and took off. Luckily, Officer Nicholas Moreno grew up around horses and didn't hesitate to take control. He calmly mounted Oreo, who had a saddle but no bridle, and took him back to his owner. All right, thanks, Pete. Now, the cost of farming and managing money can be stressful on the farm. Up next, how two ranchers in North Dakota are focusing not just on financial health, but on good mental health as well in the country.
In the Country on Ag Day is brought to you by Pivot Bio. What if you had the nitrogen you need already on seed? Pivot Bio is the first company to apply nitrogen on seed. The nitrogen you need, now on seed, from Pivot Bio. Learn more at pivotbio.com.
Farmers and ranchers face ups and downs every year, and over time, it can start to take a toll on their mental health. Well, a recent study found more than 46% of producers experience at least one symptom of anxiety and depression. Maya Fleck of AgDay affiliate KFYR recently traveled to a ranch near Hazen, North Dakota to talk with two ranchers who are big advocates for mental health.
When Joshua and Tara Dugart look out at their land, they know it's maintained through hard work and sacrifice. But they also make sure they prioritize their well-being as much as their livestock.
Even though we face hardships and difficulties in managing land and animals, resources, crops, whatever that looks like for people, we also want to build resiliency in our kinds of conversations and in our solution-seeking mindset.
They offer retreats to help producers struggling with mental health. They provide a safe space with toolkits and help start difficult conversations.
Some people are hesitant to have the conversations about who is stepping up and who's stepping aside, or the tough conversations sometimes in marriages, like, are you married to me or the ranch? And where do our priorities lie?
NDSU Extension also has mental health resources and a grant-funded program called Together Counseling, which partners producers with others in the same boat.
It was very eye-opening that close to 50% of those producers who responded back to that survey said that they are experiencing one or more symptoms of anxiety and depression.
This is work most producers are passionate about, but it comes with physical and mental challenges.
But in many cases, in agriculture, farming, and ranching, there's also a legacy. And that legacy can provide unintentional pressure from a personal standpoint on keeping this business afloat, passing it on to the next generation.
Ending the stigma of mental health starts here.
Your health is your number one resource as a producer. And so making sure that you're taking care of yourself like you want to take care of your crop and your livestock is invaluable.
She says some of the first steps are getting educated and finding resources through your primary health provider and professionals and looking for statewide support.
And our thanks to Maya Fleck of KFYR for that report. Now, if you're going through a mental health crisis or need support, you can call or text 988. That's a 24-hour crisis hotline where you will be connected with someone who can provide more resources. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.